It's Saturday, 31st of May 25, and 2 days ago there was a council by-election in Lliedi in Wales. I think that's in Llanelli. Is that the northwest of Wales? Um, Very much Welsh-speaking area. When I say very much, probably under 50% can speak Welsh now, but yeah, and Reform just basically won it from nowhere. They've not sat a councillor before, put a councillor before. I think this is the first councillor they've got who's been elected. You know, they've had a couple before in February this year and that switched to Reform from the Tories usually. But I think this means it's the end for Labour, Conservative, Lib Dems, SNP, Plaid Cymru, Greens. Basically all the parties we've had the last 150 years. Because with this being a tiny corner, a corner in Wales, still very much Welsh speaking, if they're voting Reform by the bucket load, I think it used to be a Labour area mostly, um, then there's no hope for these parties now, I don't think. That's how I would be judging. I would be judging it. And I see it as a protest vote, mainly. So, yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, I just checked on a map, and it's in the southwest of Wales, not far from Swansea. So maybe this is the Labour connection. I don't know if it was a mining area, but you're almost out to the what I would regard as sort of real Welsh speaking areas, or part of them, out in the fringes. But yeah, it's quite near Swansea, so maybe that's where the Labour connection came in. Because Labour done quite well there up until this election, really. I've asked Google Gemini a few questions about Lliedi ward, council ward. I don't think Google like doing politics, but they've started doing a bit anyway, from what I've seen. Because I've asked it a few questions before and it's not given me a reply saying we don't do, well, I don't know what you would call it, controversial or politics. But they seem to have started, in my opinion. I don't know, but yeah. So I was just looking to see what the background is. Uh, the population's about 5,500. Let's get two county councillors, and historically it's been various parties, including Labour and Lib Dems. There was one who was elected as a Labour councillor in 2017, but she became independent and then moved to the Tory party in 2021, and then another one. Well, that's it. So it looks as if it was really a Labour area. Um, but then this election, May the 29th, 25, Michelle Maybeer of Reform UK won the seat with 568 votes, becoming the first ever elected representative of Reform UK in Wales. So she's the first one to be uh, elected. The others have moved from the Tories to Reform. Yeah, that's interesting because Reform took the lead in the UK polls around about February this year. So, and really, Wales look as if they've taken on Reform faster than other parts of the country. It looks as if, to me, it looks as if they're taking it on. Reform are going to win everywhere, basically, long term or medium term. But it's as if now, because of the council elections in early May, where Reform done really well, and in the polls, where Reform have been in the lead now. They're 10 points ahead now. I mean, even 2 months ago, it was neck and neck. A year ago, they were about 10 points behind or something. So, really, I think people have been wanting to vote Reform, but they've been waiting to sort of feel that it's okay to vote Reform. And so, because of the polls this year and the county council elections recently, the message has been it's okay to vote Reform now, especially if you vote Labour and usually or whatever. And that's what people are doing, really. So, I think that's what's happened here. I mean, she get well, 33% voted in a council by-election, but that's quite a lot because usually in these elections it can be like 25%, 20%. I mean, personally, I think they don't do a good enough job of making it easy for people to vote. You know, it should be on a Saturday and Sunday. It should be e-voting, and it should be aware of it. And yeah, it shouldn't be a working day. Why have elections on working days? As I say, I think we should have the Swiss electoral system where it's direct democracy as much as possible, quarterly referendums. We should be voting on issues rather than party hampers. And this is why we're getting these crazy results now, really. Because I regard this as a protest vote, but Reform would say no, they're voting for our whole selection of policies. But I don't believe that's the case. It's a party hamper. I think they're voting for one thing in particular. So looking at the other ones, the Labour guy, he was second, Independent third, Plaid Cymru fourth. I'm surprised they don't do really well there. They don't seem to do well historically there. Been so many Welsh speakers there. Welsh Tory Party, 93 votes, hardly any. Yeah, Libdem's 41, yeah. So it's part of linearly. And I asked it, why did they vote Reform? And it's saying the by-election reflects a growing trend in parts of the UK, particularly in traditional Labour heartlands in Wales and England. Yeah, that's true. I mean, we were being told a while ago that they're having no impact in the heartlands of Wales and England. And even Scotland, I would say now, is going to go that way as a protest vote. Several factors appear to have contributed. So there's that reason that we can't really talk about. Dissatisfaction with mainstream parties. I would say it's dissatisfaction with our electoral system, basically. We can't vote on issues, and that's why Reform's suddenly saying they'll bring back the winter fuel allowance and do away with the child benefit cap, which I don't think is that popular. The child benefit cap, I think doing away with that's popular with their voters, but they think it's going to win Labour voters over. Basically a bribe, really, you know, a nanny state bribe or whatever. So Reformers sort of going on economics, they're going to be a bit more easygoing towards the left to try and win over Labour voters, which will probably work anyway. So yeah, I think this is what a lot of new parties are doing in these countries. On one issue they're very right, and then on others they're sort of left. I think even Hungary, I've heard this, and that's fair enough in my opinion. But because it is one issue, I think people are wanting to vote for, and the other issues are actually economically left. They don't really identify with Tories or Reform on it. So yeah, Labour's decline. Lliedi is a traditional Labour voting leaning area. However, Labour's vote share significantly dropped in this by-election by 35 percentage points compared to previous results. This suggests a strong feeling of disillusionment among former Labour voters. Some analysis points to Welsh Labour's handling of the NHS and a perceived failure of Labour's smashing the gangs strategy. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, yeah. I don't know about the NHS thing. I think people are voting on the other issue, really. Labour are fanatics, really, and so are even the Tories, and the SNP and Plaid Cymru are all fanatics about it, the Greens especially. So the only place to go is Reform, really, too. And the Welsh Labour have done other things like that 20-mile-an-hour zone. That was nanny state gone crazy. You know, it's very difficult to go under 20 miles an hour. And they've scrapped that now. And this is what happens. Instead of putting that to a referendum, they put it through themselves after being voted in for their party hampers. And the Welsh people didn't like it. So to me, it was very symbolic about the wokeness, really. The other thing being about the other issue. But on that, 20 miles an hour zone was just a symbolic thing that people they perceived, yeah, I don't like that. No, I don't want that. So, yeah. I mean, why not make it 5 miles an hour, if you're going to keep going that way? So, Conservative credibility. The Conservatives also saw their vote share plummet into single digits, indicating a loss of trust and credibility on issues, etc. Yeah. Cost of living and local issues. I don't really think it's to do with that because they had an independent already. Mostly, traditionally, a lot of places have voted independents. Supposedly, they're because they'll they identify with them locally or that. But I think now people are voting on one issue in particular nationally, and they'll just vote Reform. That's the only outlet for it at the moment. Reform are far too soft in it, really, when you look at what they're offering. Say compared to George Galloway, even, which is ironic. But no, really, we need an Overton window shift, and that's what's happening, really. So Michelle Beer was saying she'd fix box holes, etc. But Reform UK's broader platform often includes a focus on cost of savings in local government. Yeah, that's true. Criticises what they see as wastage on initiatives like net zero and DEI, etc. Yeah, that's fair enough. That might have a small part. I think people are voting on one issue now, really. Reform UK's momentum. The Lliedi victory is part of a larger surge for Reform UK in recent local elections across England and Wales. They have gained control of several councils and seen significant increases in their vote share, demonstrating a growing ability to challenge the traditional two-party system. The fact that Michelle Beer's husband, Gareth Beer, came close to unseating the Labour MP for Llanelli in the last general election suggests a sustained level of support for Reform UK in the area. Oh, I never knew about this. So who's Gareth Beer? Was he a Tory guy, was he? I'll need to look him up. I'll look him up now. So this is the husband of the winner, Michelle Beer. Gareth Beer is a prominent figure in the Reform UK party in the Llanelli area. So it looks as if he's been a prominent Reform person there, well, since 2021 at least. He stood in the 2024 UK general election for Llanelli constituency, and he came second. He came within 1,500 votes of unseating the long-serving Labour MP, so Dame Nia Griffith. So he nearly again as the MP, so that's quite impressive. So they were all ready to go, really, Llanelli area, and that's been a Labour-held constituency probably forever, really. Say in 1945 or that. So that's going to go. He also stood for Reform UK in the Llanelli constituency during the 2021 Senedd Cymru elections. So that's the Welsh Parliament elections. So he's been reformed quite a while. And his wife got in for us as a councillor. Maybe he's waiting to become the MP, basically. So Michelle Beer was actively involved in a protest against a hotel in Llanelli. Yeah. So that would probably, maybe that's why they got a lot of votes. So Gareth Beer's electoral efforts and his wife's recent by-election win underscore the growing support for Reform UK in areas like Llanelli and suggest a continued challenge to the established political order in Welsh heartland constituencies. Yeah, Reform are going to win the whole lot, really, I think. In essence, the vote for Reform UK in Lliedi appears to be a protest vote against the established parties driven by strong concerns and a broader dissatisfaction with public services and political leadership. Reform UK has successfully tapped into this discontent, presenting themselves as a clear alternative. I just see them as an Overton window shift, so that's what I think anyway. Demographics and trend. I mean, I think the electoral system is totally lost. They're totally out of touch. All the current politicians need to go, really. But it's the electoral system that's at fault, really. I think it needs to be like the Swiss one, direct democracy, quarterly referendums. We need to be voting on issues, not in parties. Demographics and trend. Yeah, I couldn't really get in here. 2021 data is the last one. So I couldn't really get it. 2011's not really any use now because there's been so many changes over the last few years. There's been the Boris waves, which have been the biggest waves ever. But it was already the Tony Blair 20-year wave, and even the waves before that, really. So, since 1947 or whatever. So, all these censuses are out of date, really. They're saying there would be population would be a slight increase, so that's a sign that it's changed, really. Because all these places, they should be going down, really. In fact, every area of Britain should be going down. If it's going up, that means something really different has changed. So the population increased 2.2% between 2011 and 2021, so that's telling you something, really. And then it's telling you about this, it was around 2% in 2011, although other surveys suggest slightly higher figures. But that's not use, really. It's probably changed a lot since then. I thought the Welsh language might be a way to identify how it's changed, but it's not really telling me anything. The other day it told me it was 58% in 2011, but I don't know what it is now. National political discontent. There's a strong disillusion. This is a national trend, but it manifests strongly in areas like Lliedi, where voters feel their concerns are not adequately addressed by the established political system. Rise of protest votes, alternative parties. Yep. Yeah. Local identity and community. Yeah, never gave me any information there. They asked the percentage of Welsh speakers, but it told me for the national. It's around about 17% now in 2021. Well, that's 4 years ago, so it's probably even less than that now. 2011 it was 19%. It's probably old people dying off, sharp decline. Recent decline. Fewer child speakers. Changing demographics. The annual population survey estimated in 2023 estimated 29% could speak Welsh, so yeah. No, I couldn't find anything, so in Cymru, it was a high Welsh speaking area. I mean, that county was 40% in 2021 could speak Welsh. Yeah, but I just wanted to point out this election because I think this is the nail in the coffin for the mainstream parties. There's no coming back because the Greens would normally, on this issue in Question Time, they would in Wales, they would say something like, "And the good people of Llanelli, they're with us on this subject," and because they're not talking about Llanelli being Greens, they're talking about Llanelli being Welsh speakers, blah blah blah. And if they're not if they're voting reform, then it's all over for the Greens, Labour, SNP, Plaid Cymru, Liberal, Dems, Tories, etc. So really, I think reform are going to sweep the board. Really, it's just a question of where does it stop for them. I can see an obvious stop for them, but as the years go by, maybe they'll not have as many that can vote for them. So this is probably their peak chance at the moment. Okay, that's all for just now. Very interesting. I think this is a symbolic point, and the council elections in early May as well. Okay, bye bye. And also we've got a Holyrood election in Scotland next week, and Hamilton and Reformers maybe second in the moment. They're sort of 4-1 to win it. SNP are 1-5. But John Swinney is saying a lot of stuff about reform and things. He might be getting the people of Hamilton's back up, so maybe reform could win that. We'll see. I don't know, but people are still voting SNP up here because we're nice and that, but let's see how it goes, so okay.